Welcome to segment 3 of Human Design and the Gene Keys. This is about projectors, 21% of you. I want to welcome Sophia from Italy. Hi, Sophia.
Thank you. So with the projector aura type, that's about 21% of the population. And this is a particular aura that looks into and penetrates the other. So there's an ability to read an energetic field and be in a situation to offer wise guidance, to give useful information to people, and it's a wonderful energetic exchange. But the challenge is that the strategy for the projector is they have to wait for the invitation. They can't just rush out and tap people on the shoulder and say, "Pardon me, I noticed you're having trouble with this, and here's what you need to do." Not that projectors don't do that. Of course they do, because they know they're reading energy and they want to help this person. But what happens when you don't get an invitation is people brush you off. People are irritated. People don't want to hear what you have to say. So a projector's measuring stick is the bitterness in their life. Are they feeling bitter because they're not being recognized for the gifts and the skills they have? And they're supposed to feel great success in their life because they are allowing their really powerful aura to bring to them the people who see them and appreciate what they offer and are open to taking input from them. So it's as if there's a line of people standing in front of the projector, and the projector looks in the eyes of the first person and says, "No, you can leave." Looks at the next person, "No, you can leave." Looks in the eyes of the third person, "Oh, the third person really sees me. The third person is open. The third person wants to know what I have. Yeah, come on over here. We can talk later." So there's an energetic invitation from a person who can see and feel the benefit of what the projector has to offer. And it's mainly generators, the 70% of the people who are wired for the generator, because they have all this huge energy that needs to be directed, that needs to be put in the right place. If it's not, these people are going to die of frustration. And many people are just so heavy under frustration. And if they would just learn how to ask projectors to help them, it could be so simple. But our society doesn't set us up for that. We have to be strong and figure it out ourselves and all kinds of crazy strategies. So the projector can feel a lot of bitterness because they know they have useful strategies and useful things to share with people. But without the correct invitation, then they can't really respond in a way. They're meant to be the leaders, and the aura is meant to energetically pull to them the people who see them and who appreciate them. And so projectors can feel lost and abandoned sometimes, waiting for the correct invitation. And their gift is to help when they do get the right person who sees them and they're invited to give input. They have a genius at asking the right questions to help draw the person's own wisdom out of them. And they also have a great way for using diplomacy, for help massaging that wounded ego back to a healthy state of being. And so they want to help empower people, but they need to be empowered and they need to be recognized for what they have to bring to the situation. And it's it really feels like an oxymoron, like it can't possibly work, but it's from deep silence and that nothingness that comes forth the people who see and appreciate the projector and can give them the invitation that's correct and proper. So these people need to be able to recognize the projector and see their essence and call it out of them with an invitation. I see you. I appreciate what you bring to the table. I invite your input just opens up the genius. And that often they grow up in family settings where they're not seen for who they are. Projectors can have a really, really hard time in their family of origin, because that highly sensitive nature and not being invited to give input, it can really develop a deep bitterness and a wondering, why am I here? What am I going to do? How am I going to get the recognition that I need? So our family setting can set up for projectors to be feeling like they're never going to be recognized. And that recognition means that I am recognized, then my gifts are drawn out of me through the recognition of the other person. And so, as I said earlier, the generators are the machinery that gets so much done on the planet, and they need guidance. They need to be directed so they're not wasting their energy. So the projector and the generator, they have a wonderful relationship should they be able to find each other. But that waiting for the invitation, waiting for the person to appreciate what can be offered from the projector, then there's this wonderful giving and receiving. And the projector, because they're a projector, they're reading other people's energy. A projector has an extra burden of being very, very, very clear, so they're not projecting their own stuff on people. So they really need to know their own underlying agenda, what their expectations are, all of that shadow stuff that we got layered on us rather thickly in our childhood possibly. They really need to do their shadow work and be clear, because the point is the projector is a clear channel for bringing up a discussion to help the other. The projector is all about the other coming to some realization, coming to some understanding. But they need to be recognized as a source of wisdom and information by a person who has the ability to call that out from the projector. So a lot of projectors, 21% of the population, there's a lot of bitterness because a lot of projectors have been marginalized, upbringing in their childhood. Maybe they haven't done the healing work necessary to get their projector with an aura that's attracting the people who need their services. And as a projector, there's a lot of white centers in the chart, and the mind can become deeply conditioned. And they can accept invitations that aren't correct for them too, because they keep wanting the right invitation. So the projector aura is a very, very particular aura, and it really takes careful examination to be clear and pure, to be able to not project one's own undigested trauma and shadow work on other people as a projector. I know if you go to the Human Design website, they give projectors a discount on purchasing their materials, because they understand projectors have a big challenge to get this all lined up correctly so that their people can find them and they can share their genius with people. So they want to encourage people to study and to do the shadow work and get to that point of clarity where they can actually be seen for the services they can offer to bring clarity for the other. And so because their clarity is for the other, the mind can go into a turmoil trying to make clarity for themselves, which is not what the mind can do. So projectors need our support because they're an important part of the team here, but we need to call them out. We need to bring out that essence that's deep inside them to be able to be recognized by the people who are ready to receive their services. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a few points that I want to go into. One, I wanted to speak of perhaps why a projector often in a family feels like an outcast, and when they don't understand their type, of course, because we weren't trained that way, they want to be seen, especially when you're in a family unit where survival is important to get along, to not perish in this world. So we want to fit as children. And a projector, I can see myself, we're wanting the recognition to be included, but saying all the wrong things because I didn't get the invitation, even though I could see it very clearly what was going on. Waiting for the invitation, when you talk about the bitterness and then catching yourself, and we think, oh, I'm not bitter. And then you can look back at certain events. And even in the corporate world, I was very successful. I created my own business. But prior to that, I was in corporate America. And I would walk into board meetings and then I'd hear these guys talking about trying to find a solution for something. And I would have the solution immediately. And I would offer it. And I was totally ignored. And often it could be 20 minutes, it could be 2 days, it could be a week later, where someone repeated verbatim what my suggestion was, and everybody tells them they're brilliant. It was like, I already said that. But then you felt invisible. You weren't seen. You weren't important. So I think that's one of the dilemmas that a projector has to overcome, is because we have a knowing. We do penetrate into another. We do see a situation, almost the solution and problem resting in the same place. So it's like, oh yeah, here's the solution. But if we don't get that invitation, it's ignored, and then somebody claims it later as their idea. The bitterness sinks in, and we do the opposite of what we should do. And that's trying to get more attention, right? So it backfires on us that we're being really rejected now. The invitation part, I know that Raw said something about a projector could wait an entire lifetime to get an invitation, or maybe lifetimes. And I thought, that's not for me. Didn't come here to wait lifetimes for an invitation. When I asked the question, show me a solution, not searching for a solution, but show me a solution, the realization came that I could ask the question, as I mentioned before, walk into a meeting and say, if you want other ideas or suggestions, let me know. Totally withdraw that energy, sit down, go about your business. And I have to say, I haven't had one incident so far where people haven't stopped and gone, oh, okay, yes, tell us what you're thinking. So now I have my invitation, and then they could hear me. And that too was life-changing. So I think as projectors, we really don't need to wait lifetimes. We can put it out there as a invitation and then a take back. So they have to request. And if they don't request, we don't supply. And so there is no bitterness. Does that make sense?
Yes, and because projectors have a lot of white centers with an open throat center, am I trying to attract attention? Of course I am. I have an open throat center, a white center also, throat center, and I had the same experience as you, offering wonderful ideas, and then 20 minutes later someone would say the same thing, and everyone would say how wonderful, whereas when I said it, nobody heard it. So that attracting attention, but needing to say it in the right way, that you're getting honored and validated for being the source for that to come. So if we're putting it out in an energetic way that's not correct, it's going to just fall flat. So as a projector, that's a wonderful strategy to understand that putting it there, walking away, and then having people request it, that's your invitation. And many of the channels in the human design chart are projector channels, which means we can't offer that information until we're asked. And so there are times when we can manifest, but often if we're going to manifest, isn't it helpful to inform people about what we're going to manifest so they don't resist us? So any of these aura types, we may be acting out using that energy in our life at the moment. We may be reflecting back to people something they don't want to hear. So how can we do that in a way that doesn't destroy their ego or whatever is going on at the moment? So it all interacts with each other. The energies are at play here, and how do we stand in the fullness of being able to contribute what we're here to contribute, and not stay stuck behind all those not so stories that give us so much frustration, so much anger, so much bitterness, so much disappointment in life. We know we are meant to do more than that, and it's wonderful that we can discuss some of the strategies that can help us get back to a more fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm. Something may sound really incredible, but does it serve us spiritually, financially, morally, energetically? And then if we get that yes, then that's a true invitation.
Yes, that's real important, Angelica, to learn to read our authority response correctly. And splenic is one of the hardest ones. It's like a camera lens. It opens and closes in a nanosecond. You can never repeat that experience. You have to read it. Well, okay, that was a yes, but on what level was that a yes? Was that a yes for my whole life, or was that a yes for the grandma in me? So all of those ways that we can contemplate what we've been given from this beautiful system that we're wired to get clues so that we don't put our fingers in the blender and bleed any more often than we need to in life. There's a lot we can work with, and if we're open and humble to the process, because we will be informed, and sometimes we don't like the information we find out about ourselves as we're opening up to, why did I make that silly mistake in my life? And this shadow work takes a long time, and we can develop compassion for ourselves. And I develop so much compassion for all of us. We're all suffering from the human condition in some way, shape, or form. And how can I contribute to the highest good by being the best example of myself that I can be, and inviting other people to do the same? And I love the way our aura types can allow us to do that process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I would finish up the projector by talking about their sleeping cycle. So they're another one of the aura types that needs to go to bed early, needs an hour lying around reading, writing in your journal, meditating, contemplating your navel, whatever one needs to do, just to disengage and finish digesting all of the auric messages one's gotten during the day, because there's a lot that's going on. We're upgrading our electromagnetic vibration. We're trying to stay in our higher registers so we can access our gifts and our cities from our gene keys understanding of what we're here to do. And so allowing ourselves to unwind from the overstimulation of our culture we live in, it's really, really important that we can get back to a set point where we can start the day fresh and ready to go. And so that winding down process is real important for a projector, that disengaging from all of that energy, what's mine and what isn't mine, and sorting and sifting and just being still and allowing things to settle.
Mm-hmm. I think that part about what's mine and what's not mine is vitally important. I mean, for everyone, when we're being a world of projection.
Then the beautiful question is, when have I been just like that, if not even worse? And to own whatever part of it might be mine, and maybe in this moment isn't mine, but I'm sure in some moment or other it was mine, because we're all on this spectrum of consciousness trying to elevate and move through lower patterns of survival and all that. So it's just wonderful. This whole path is a pathway of contemplation. We need to sit and be with this, and when we get into the not self parts of the chart that have to do with definition and openness in the chart, where you have the colored centers and where you have the white centers, the not self questions, every white center, that's the path to wisdom, is to try on the not self. How does it feel? Terrible. And then you have to go back and sort and sift what is mine and was being projected onto me from other people, because white centers, that's what we're doing, is we're sampling life to figure out what does a healthy version of that look and feel like. Boy, I'm watching a whole lot of people doing all kinds of things, and there's a lot of pain and suffering out there. My goodness, I hope we can learn sooner than later how to quit hurting ourselves and each other. But that whole idea that the sitting and being and allowing ourselves to be informed and what is mine and what is not mine, on one level, it's all part of me being projected and coming back to me. And if I can develop compassion for me and my mistakes and other people and their mistakes, maybe we all get to come home to a nicer version of ourselves sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important to ask the question when we feel bitter or triggered or frustrated, whatever it is, that we do ask, is this about me? Or is this about them? Or is this about both? And the only way, as I mentioned, that I know if it's about me is if I had a response that was negative. So at that point, I get to heal that part of me, and I don't even have to care. It's not my concern if they are wounded also and they're projecting onto me. All I need to do is heal that part that felt that trigger. And once I do that, and that same situation can repeat or something almost identical, and there's no reaction in me, then I can hold them in a loving space, knowing it was their projection that they were trying to put upon my aura. But I said, no, 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 in a loving way, energetically. And so they have the opportunity to take a look at themselves without me protesting or rejecting, but just holding space for them. So it is quite a journey, and I admire anybody that's a young parent starting now really understand their own children and their relationships with their own parents and siblings and their partner, for sure. What a different world this would be.
Okay, we